Football Galaxy here, and welcome to the very first episode of a brand new podcast that I'm doing here exclusively in the Football Galaxy channel. Now, for those who have been with me, like following me the very first months of my channel, like almost 2 years ago, you'd know that this is actually not the first podcast I've done. Yeah, this is not my first rodeo, believe it or not. In fact, this would be, I think, the fifth podcast I've done in this channel. So, if you guys have been wondering, like, what happened to those podcasts then? Well, at that time, they weren't very popular. Like, they weren't getting that much views. They weren't successful, basically. So, most of those podcasts that I've done were really short. Like I hardly did like 3 episodes of it, and that was it. However, my latest, like the latest podcast I did, like the last one, was one based on the LA Galaxy. That one got sort of some views, and that was fun. I actually, in fact, that was my favorite, but it wasn't getting this, a lot of views like later on, and then I had some difficulties with being successful with podcasts. But today, this is a new chapter. I'm going to try again. And this time, I'm expanding more. I'm thinking outside the box. This show, I want to dedicate more now on my favorite league, Major League Soccer. All right, sorry about that. Yeah. So, this brand new podcast, I'm thinking of doing it on MLS. And this time, I'm going to do much more things. Like, for example, this is a pre recorded episode, but what I want to do with this series, with this new podcast show, is that I want to do it in live streams where I can talk with the live chat, see what they say, and basically see what you guys have to say to talk about your opinions. That's what I'm going to do. And that is how this podcast will be going on. And this time I won't be giving up. Like this time I will be making episodes. Of course, it will be difficult because every week obviously predictable. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how much time I'm going to be able to do stuff like this, but I do want to dedicate myself with this new brand podcast show because I have a good feeling I'm going to have fun doing this show. Now, to give you guys the basics of what this podcast show will be about, like I said before, it's going to be based on MLS. And what we're going to do is that I'm going to pick 3 to 5 major topics that occurred within MLS over the course of a week, the past week to be more specific. This one is an exception because by the time I post this episode, it would be on a Tuesday, and I'll be going over what happened over the past weekend in a few days before last Friday. So today is the exception, but I'm planning on doing these. I'm planning of doing this new podcast episodes of this podcast within between every Friday and Saturday of each week. Between Friday and Saturday, one of those 2 days. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about 3 to 5 major topics that occurred over the past week in MLS. And like I also said before, we I'm planning to do some episodes as a live stream, so that way we can talk with live chat, and I can talk also not just that, but also in some live streams. I'm also planning to invite some guests who will accompany me in talking about these topics, these MLS topics for an episode of the podcast. So yeah, so live streams, so we can talk with the live chat, and some special guests. Um, and of course, I'll if you guys follow me on Twitter, I'll be giving announcements of like what will happen, what we're going to talk about, and who will be joining us for each special guest episode. So yeah, I'll be giving you guys previews like for each episode, like in Twitter and all that stuff. But yeah, so let's just quickly move over to the podcast studio. All right, here we are. So this is, as you can see, the podcast studio. Here I am with the microphone. Nah, I'm just kidding. Actually, I don't even have a professional podcast studio or the equipment and all that stuff. This is literally me using my phone. And in fact, I've been doing this where I record with my phone literally since I began on YouTube, guys. Yeah, I don't have any of the professional gaming chairs, the cameras, all that stuff that the top YouTubers have these days. I don't really have that stuff because they're expensive. And I'm in university. University is expensive. So I'm literally dedicating all my money on university. So yeah. This is literally my setup. Just me talking to my phone. That's literally it. But I don't see any problem with it, to be honest. I don't see any problem with it. Um and of course actually it has some difficulty starting up preparing for this inaugural episode. Actually preparing for this episode, I've had difficulties, but as you can see, I managed to pull it off, and I think I will be able to pull it off. But just a heads up, if this episode does end up a little bit crappy, a little bit, I do apologize. But I'm like, this is the beginning. We're starting, and I'm obviously gonna learn more stuff on how to better like set up stuff and all that stuff later on as we go through. But I think now it is time to. Okay, I think we're back. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it is time to introduce this brand new podcast here in the Football Galaxy channel. Without further ado, welcome to MLS Madness. Once again, what is up, MLS Football Galaxy here, and welcome to MLS Madness, the brand new podcast show here in the Football Galaxy channel, where we will be talking about all about Major League Soccer. So, like I said before, we're going to be breaking down a couple of major topics that have occurred over the past few days in MLS. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be breaking through some stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, without further ado, guys, I would recommend you guys to make yourselves comfortable, grab your coffee, tea, hot chocolate, since it's that time of the year, and I hope you guys enjoy today's show. So for today, guys, I have prepared, I think it's 4 topics. Yes, 4 topics for today. And obviously one of them includes, as you have seen the thumbnail, my reaction to Decision Day. Because guys, let's just get one thing straight. This weekend, Decision Day was crazy, ladies and gentlemen. It was crazy. It was intense. It was epic. It was freaking epic. So without further ado, guys, it is time to break down all of this MLS madness. Starting with, of course, like I said, the reactions. We're gonna be just breaking down the scores of the game on Decision Day and not live now, but at the point the live standings. Like obviously, what I'm showing you now is the last standings. We're gonna be breaking down like all the moves that was going on that day. So as you can see, we are looking at the Eastern Conference. This is the final standings of the Eastern Conference, as you can see here. Obviously, New England Revolution, they got first place since a while ago, so obviously they got the first round bye. But the main battle was between second, third, and fourth. Between second, third, and fourth, that was the battle of who was going to get second, who was going to get third, and who was going to get fourth. Now, at the time, before decision day, Nashville SC was in second place. And hold on just 1 second. I'm trying to find. I believe Philadelphia Union was in third, but let me just check it real quick because it's just, yeah, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just trying to bring it up, and I found it. Okay. So at the time, Nashville was in second, but they were facing New York Red Bulls. Now, the Red Bulls were, I believe they were below, no, they were in sixth place. They were on the edge, though. They were on the edge of missing out the playoffs, so they needed at least a point. They were up against Nashville. Philadelphia Union were playing against New York City FC. Both of those games actually ended 1-1, which resulted to Nashville moving from second to third place and Philadelphia stealing second place. Now, what's funny is that Philadelphia actually was second place for a while in the season, early in the season, but then Orlando City, they were doing pretty good. They were doing pretty awesome, actually. They were in second place until recently. They started to get a little bit rusty, and Philadelphia started to rise again. And at the last moment, they stole second place because Nashville was also good. Nashville was doing really impressive. They were second also for a while. Okay, let's just get one thing straight. The three teams that were mainly in second place throughout the season was between Orlando City, Nashville SC, and Philadelphia Union. Of course, at the end, Philadelphia Union got second place, leaving Nashville in third after getting a 1-1 draw with the New York Red Bulls. The New York Red Bulls did manage to get into the playoffs, getting seventh place. But actually, on decision day, because I believe Atlanta wasn't playing yet. I might be wrong though. Hold on. Oh, actually, no. Actually, I am wrong because hold on. Atlanta played. Well, it doesn't show the time. I'm right now looking at the MLS schedule. Okay, so it doesn't really show exactly what time it started. I think it started I want to say 3, or was it earlier? I think it was earlier. But I think the New York Red Bull game versus Nashville and Atlanta United's game, they were playing at the same time. But the point I'm trying to make is that Atlanta played against. Atlanta played against FC Cincinnati, and they won 2-1. They were actually in seventh place with 48 points. Atlanta was in seventh place. With that win versus FC Cincinnati, they moved up to fifth place, as you can see in the screen. Fifth place, getting 51 points. At the time, like I said, they were at 48 points. They moved up and got 51 points. Philadelphia Union, they were at 56 points on decision day. And no, wait, that's weird. Hold on. Oh wow, that is so weird. Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, my bad. Yeah, my bad, guys. They could have gone 56 points if they beat New York City, but because of the tie, they got 54 points. They actually tied with Nashville, guys. They tied with Nashville with 54 points. Both of them got 54 points. Both of them needed a win. Like, one of them had to win, and the other had to lose to get second place. But I guess based on goal difference, Philadelphia Union managed to get second place. Nashville got third place. They both tied with 54 points. With that draw versus Philadelphia, New York City got 51 points. And Atlanta got 51 points with a win versus FC Cincinnati. And then Orlando City, they got a good win versus CF Montreal. It was a must win for Orlando City, and they got the job done, which was pretty cool. They got the job done versus CF Montreal, and that placed them in sixth place, tying with Atlanta United with 51 points. And then New York Red Bulls, with that draw versus Nashville, managed to get the last playoff spot in seventh with 48 points. Unfortunately for DC, they got a nice win versus Toronto FC, but that wasn't enough. Columbus, I believe, tied. No, they beat Chicago Fire. So both DC and Columbus beat beat their opponents, but with those three points, it just wasn't enough. Both of them were 1 point behind New York Red Bulls. Now here's the thing, guys. Before decision day, New York Red Bulls had 47 points, and I believe DC and Columbus had 44 points. Yeah. So New York had 47 points. DC and Columbus had 44 points before decision day. DC or Columbus, depending on goal difference, it would have depended on goal difference. But if either of those two had won, and New York would have lost against Nashville, either DC or Columbus could have stolen seventh place from New York Red Bulls. If that was the case, it would. I'm pretty sure it would have depended on the goal difference, because obviously one team between DC and Nashville would have been able to qualify, and obviously have more goal difference than New York Red Bulls, because they would have had 47 points. But because that did not happen, of course, New York managed to get 1 point above DC and Columbus's results from the wins. And with that, both DC and Columbus got eliminated. The Columbus Crew, being the 2020 MLS Cup champions, eliminated from the MLS Cup playoffs for this season 2021. So it is unfortunate for them. CF Montreal were looking dangerous in getting a playoff spot, because the race was mainly between 10th place, 9th place, 8th place, and I think 7 and 6. So I think the main battle, actually no, I take it back. The main battle for the last three playoffs positions between 5th, 6th, and 7th was all between 5th place down to 10th place. So it was a battle between 9 teams, actually. Yeah, it was a battle. No, what am I talking about? 6 teams. It was a battle between 6 teams for the last 3 spots in the Eastern Conference for the MLS Cup playoffs. That's how crazy it was. At the end, Montreal needed that win, but Orlando got the 3 points. They stole it from them, and Orlando City are up to the playoffs once again, second year in a row. I'm not sure if they made it in 2018. I could be wrong. Let me just check really quick. I think they did make it. I could be wrong. No, they did not make it in 2018, but they did make it. Wait, what am I talking? No, not 2018, 2019. Gosh darn it. I forgot 2020. They did not make it in 2019 either. So this would be the second year in a row that Orlando City would qualify to the playoffs, last year being 2020. So preps for them, of course. And then Atlanta United obviously getting the steal. Pretty easy win over FC Cincinnati. So a comfortable win. They got the 3 points that they needed, so they got obviously into the playoffs as well, with DC, Columbus, and Montreal being eliminated. So it was a pretty crazy 6-team battle for the last 3 spots of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. But now let's talk about the Western Conference, which was just as crazy, if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen. I know some people say the Western Conference sucks. It's like not much competition. You're dead wrong if you say that, man, because it was not. There's like, what are you talking about? No competition. There is a heckload of competition, especially this season. So let's talk about the Western Conference, and I just want to talk about the one thing that surprised the crap out of me after decision day. The fact that Colorado Rapids stole Seattle Sounders first place, guys. The freaking Rapids managed to steal first place from Seattle Sounders. I could not believe my mind when I freaking found out. Because Seattle, they've been dominating the Western Conference literally since the first game of the season. All year long, they've been dominating the Western Conference. I'm pretty sure they never reached third place. They were either between first or second, but I'm pretty sure they never reached third place before in this season. And somehow, because I think I'm pretty sure they beat Vancouver Whitecaps. No, they tied. Okay, so they tied against the Whitecaps, and because of that, Colorado got a huge win over LAFC 5-2, and that golden ticket gave them first place to seal the first round bye in the MLS Cup playoffs. I could not believe it. Colorado has been battling themselves within the top four. No, within the top five. Yeah, within the top five in the Western Conference. They've been slowly fighting their way up top into the top three at least. Because the top three, mostly during the second half of the season, was between Seattle, Kansas City, and Colorado. But Colorado was in the top five. Then later on, during the second half of the season, they reached the top three. But I literally thought Seattle was me as a Galaxy fan, we were in fifth place at the time. Like when Seattle was in first, LA was around fifth. They've been struggling. They were between fifth and sixth. But we would have played against Portland, who was in fourth, and the winner of that team would obviously play against Seattle. And I was already giving my hopes away. Like, great, like if we beat Portland by a miracle, we're gonna face Seattle in the semifinals. Like, there goes the MLS Cup. Like, there goes our hopes for the playoffs, because we're playing against the best team in the whole Western Conference. But I seriously, I still can't believe it. I cannot believe that literally on decision day, like, they didn't get first place before, like, last week. They didn't get first place before decision day. It was on Sunday. On decision day, Colorado freaking stole first place and got themselves the first round bye. They literally stole it from Seattle, who had it within their grasp. So, I still can't believe Seattle literally let the first round bye slip right through their hands, and Colorado, thank you very much, took it and grabbed it, and there you go. Colorado with 61 points, 1 point above the Seattle Sounders. Just like that, they are in the first round. They get the first round bye, and they are now in the conference semifinals. That's just unbelievable. Now let's talk about Sporting Kansas City, who was, they needed a win to get second place. Actually, no, to get at least first place. Yeah, if Seattle would have lost. Yeah, if Seattle would have lost or tied or lost, and Sporting Kansas City won, they would have gone first place. Now, I knew that Colorado was going to be LAFC. I think pretty much everyone knew that. So if KC would have won and Seattle lost or tied, then the main battle for first place would have been between Sporting Kansas City and Colorado. At that point, I'm pretty sure it would be depending on goal difference. But that did not happen. Instead, Sporting Kansas City lost 0-1 against Real Salt Lake with that win, which by that win guaranteed them and secured them a playoff spot in seventh place, as you can see. But SKC, what in the world happened to them? Because they were just as dominant as Seattle. In fact, throughout the entire season, the battle for first and second was between Seattle and Kansas City. At some point, Seattle did have a significant amount of points above Kansas City. Like, Seattle was basically the New England Revolution of the Western Conference at some point in the season. I'm not saying throughout the entire season. At some point in the season, they were. Mainly, like, in the first half of the season, they were like the New England Revolution of the Western Conference. So New England fans, don't hate on me for comparing it with Seattle, because let's be real, guys. New England is better than Seattle. I am admitting that. But the main battle for first and second was between Seattle and Kansas City. Throughout the second half of the season, Kansas City was slowly stepping up towards Seattle, just step by step, getting just closer to securing first place. In fact, I think they did get first place in the season between 2 and 3 times, I believe. I'm pretty sure 2 times they got first place, because the thing is, Sporting Kansas City would have had to win several games, and Seattle would have had to lose. But that was the thing. Seattle was not losing; they were winning, and if they were not winning, they were tying. So that wasn't helping Kansas City. So I believe they got first place. I believe only twice this season. The rest of the time was Seattle. But at the very end, near decision day, they pretty much screwed up their hopes of getting second or first. They lost to RSL 1-0. Like, are you kidding me? To RSL 1-0? Like, you gotta be kidding me. So they screwed that up. And then in the previous MLS game week, I think they either tied. Let's see. Sporting Kansas City. No, they actually beat LA Galaxy. They beat us. No. So okay. So I'm talking about the 2 game days before decision day. The first game day, which was on October 27th, they beat LA Galaxy 2-0. But then the game day before decision day, they lost versus Minnesota United 2-1. So they desperately needed a win at that time to stay above, to at least get first place. Is what I'm trying to say. To get above Seattle and get first place. Heck, even if they got a even if they got a draw, they couldn't have gone over Seattle. But they desperately needed a win. They screwed it up, and that's where they got third place. It's not a bad position though. Like let's be real. They made it to the top 4. They clinched the top 4 seed. So they didn't end the season bad. Let's be real. They did a good job. They didn't end the season bad. The only disappointment that I see is that they lost their chance of securing first or second place in the Western Conference. And instead, they managed to get third place. But third place is not bad. The top 3 is always the top 3 is always a good thing to be within when it comes to a league or league standing. So they got third place. Next up, we got Portland Timbers, who got fourth place, 55 points, 3 points behind Sporting Kansas City. On decision day, they played against Austin FC. They got a really good 3-0 win over Austin FC. And Portland Timbers throughout the season, they've been they were basically kind of doing what the Colorado Rapids were doing, just fighting their way into the top 5 of the Western Conference. And yeah, like for a very good amount of time during the second half of the season, they got fourth place, and they ended up doing the thing. They secured a top 4 seed. They are now, and of course, they also have the home advantage. So yeah, they got a top 4 seed, and they are now hosting in the playoffs. They are going to be hosting Minnesota United. So they got a home advantage. Now, moving on now to Minnesota United, and this is the part that got intense and crazy. Because here, 3 spots of the MLS Cup 2021 playoffs. It was a 5-team battle between Minnesota United, Vancouver Whitecaps, Real Salt Lake, LA Galaxy, and LAFC. Let's break it all down. Both LA Galaxy and LAFC and Real Salt Lake needed a win. In fact, let me check what the standings were before. So, at the time on decision day, I think this was right before this was when the games were happening. Colorado got first place. Minnesota, with the win, with draw versus LA Galaxy 3-3, they secured 5th place. I believe they were in 6th place. I might be wrong, but they did secure 5th place. Vancouver was, I want to say 7th. Yes, Vancouver was 7th. Now that I remember, Vancouver was 7th. LA Galaxy were in 8th place. No, Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm confusing myself. Now, LA Galaxy got eighth place now, but yeah, I'm just confusing myself. Okay, um, yeah, so Minnesota they drew 3-3 against LA Galaxy. I think in my opinion, they were pretty much secured. I think they were Minnesota got. I think they were in sixth place, between fifth and sixth place. They were before decision day, so they like even with the defeat, the 1 point was 49 points. So before it was 48 points before decision day. Yeah, I think. Well, okay, they weren't technically 100% secured, but all they had to do was just win or draw to secure them a playoff spot. Vancouver, I think, needed a win, which they didn't. They drew against Seattle, but that was it. As long as they didn't lose, they were good, and that's what they got. In fact, most of these teams was just basically a must draw or win, mainly for Minnesota and Vancouver. But for LA Galaxy, RSL, and LAFC, those three teams, those were a must win. Not even a draw could save them. A win. It was it was a dramatic must win for Real Salt Lake, LA Galaxy, and LAFC. And as you can see, one of them actually got the job done, which was Real Salt Lake by beating Sporting Kansas City 1-0. LA Galaxy drew versus Minnesota United, which kicked them out of the playoffs. It was a must win, a must 3 points. 3 points. That was the one job. They could not do it. They only got 1 point. They were missing two, but they didn't get it. And that's where they got eighth place. LAFC needed a must win. They completely screwed that up by losing 5-2 versus Colorado Rapids. And they got ninth place. And I can't, like, even though as a Galaxy fan, it is depressing that we got eliminated from the playoffs again, at least it is satisfying that we got above LAFC. Like, come on, we gotta admit that. We gotta admit that, Galaxy fans. It is satisfying to see us above, finishing at least above LAFC in the final standings in the final standings of, and of course San Jose got eliminated, as well as Dallas, Austin, and Houston. But what is pretty sad to know is that all teams from California and Texas got eliminated in this year's MLS Cup playoffs, which is kind of funny, but like, well, what are we gonna do? All we can do is just hope for the better for the next season, and I guess I don't know, try to choose a team that you're going for the MLS Cup playoffs. For me, it's between, I guess it's between Orlando City. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go for Orlando City in the playoffs. I don't think I'm going for anyone in the Western Conference. I guess I would go for either Colorado, Kansas City, or Portland. But other than that, yeah, I don't care about the other teams. But that is, ladies and gentlemen, the final standings of the MLS 2021 regular season. That is how Decision Day finished, and those were the spots that got finalized after Sunday night. And it was crazy. It was epic. Many must wins, many one jobs for many teams, which was must wins. But again, basically it was a must win or draw, a must draw or must win with Minnesota and Vancouver. But it was a must win, not even a draw, a must win for Real Salt Lake, LA Galaxy, and LAFC. And of course, Real Salt Lake got and was the only team who got the job done and got the 3 points. And there you have it. They got seventh place. They are in the playoffs actually for a while now, because let's see, in 2020 they did not make the playoffs. Yeah, they did not make the playoffs, but they did in 2019 actually. Yeah, in 2019 they qualified to the playoffs. They played against Portland Timbers, and I believe they did lose that game if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure they lost that game versus Portland Timbers. I'm trying to look it up right now. Yes. Oh no, they did not. They actually beat Portland Timbers 2-1 And then they reached the conference semifinals where they faced Seattle Sounders, and they lost 2-0 against Seattle Sounders. So they missed reaching the conference finals in 2019. Then they missed the playoffs in 2020, and here they are once again in the playoffs in 2021, which will now bring us to the MLS Cup bracket, which is right here. As you can see, guys, this is the 2021 MLS Cup playoffs bracket. As you can see, Colorado and New England got the first round bye. They're in the semifinals, waiting for the winners for the West for Colorado. The winner between Portland Timbers and Minnesota, New England Revolution, waiting for the winner between New York City FC and Atlanta United. Two pretty good matches to look for. Then in the West, we got Sporting Kansas City taking on Vancouver Whitecaps. And then, oh yes, a 2019 MLS Cup rematch, or conference semifinal rematch from 2019. The Seattle Sounders taking on, once again, Real Salt Lake. The question is, though, will Real Salt Lake get their revenge against Seattle Sounders this year? Personally, I don't think so. I think Seattle are going to beat them again, but I could be wrong. But I will not be digging into my MLS Cup playoffs predictions because that will be for another video, which will be coming out next week. And it's going to be actually a very special video. So I don't want to get into details on that because I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, just wait for my MLS Cup predictions. That will be next week. And of course, I'll be giving more details later on next week through my Twitter. So if you guys would like to follow me on Twitter, it's at FootballGalaxy17. Now on to the East side. So we already said New York City taking on Atlanta. The winner of that will face New England for the conference semifinals. Nashville taking on Orlando City SC. Oh yes. If you guys remember what I said earlier, throughout the season, the main teams that were pretty much going like second place, like it was them, then it was this team, then it was the other team. The three teams that kept going back to back to second place was between Nashville SC, Orlando City, and Philadelphia Union. But those two teams, like two of the three teams you can see, will be facing off each other in the MLS Cup playoffs. And that's going to be a tough game. That will be a tough game because both teams are not to mess with. Nashville SC getting third, facing up against Orlando City, who got sixth place in the Eastern Conference. So it's going to be a tough game, not just for Orlando, but also for Nashville, because Orlando got a 2-0 win versus Montreal. That was a good win. So I wouldn't sleep on Orlando, guys. I will not sleep on Orlando. That's going to be a tough game. And even though I'm not going to tell you guys my predictions, I legit cannot decide who's going to win that game. I just really don't know. Like I said earlier, that I think I'm going to go for Orlando City for the playoffs because like now that my team is gone, I have no team to root for. So I guess I'm just going to go for Orlando. But yeah, I just don't know who's going to win this game. Like I'm pretty sure between that game and New York City FC versus Atlanta, that's going to be the toughest game in the Eastern playoffs, in my opinion. And then lastly, of course, Philadelphia Union taking on New York Red Bulls. The New York Red Bulls, actually. Let's go back, take a look. New York Red Bulls did qualify for the MLS Cup playoffs in 2019, and in 2020 they also qualified for the playoffs in 2020 as well. In 2020 they faced Columbus Crew, but they lost 3-2. In 2019 they faced Philadelphia Union. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. They faced Philadelphia Union, and Philadelphia beat them 4-3. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have two rematches. We have two rematch from the 2019 MLS Cup. We first got Seattle Sounders taking on Real Salt Lake. It's going to be a rematch from the conference semifinals. And now we got Philadelphia Union taking on New York Red Bulls again on the first round. This is once again in the first round. It's a rematch from the first round from the 2019 MLS Cup playoffs. So this is going to be an interesting MLS Cup playoff, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be an interesting MLS Cup this season. But of course, you tell me, comment down below who do you guys think will win these matches? And yeah, this is going to be very interesting. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time now to move on to our second topic for today, which was a pretty big one because this is a guy. He is literally an MLS veteran, and now that he has made his announcement, you might as well consider him as an MLS legend. Moving on now to our second topic, the official announcement, the retirement of MLS veteran Chris Swanofsky. He announced it on decision day, which was pretty crazy. This man has been with the San Jose Earthquakes. I'm going to search it up right now. If I want to say, but let's see. He joined Seattle Sounders in he joined San Jose Earthquakes in 2009. I'm wrong. In 2005. I'm sorry, San Jose fans. In 2005 is where he began his career in San Jose Earthquakes. The next season, in 2006, he moved to the Houston Dynamo and played there for 3 years until 2009. And then in 2009, he came back to his home team with the Earthquakes to play for 11 years. Yeah. Wait, that is right? 12, my bad. So since 2009, he returned back to San Jose to play for the next 12 years, guys. 12 years. That is just crazy. And today, not today, on Sunday, on Decision Day 2021, he announced his retirement. So on Decision Day, that was his last game he would play for the San Jose Earthquakes after 12 years. Technically 16 years if you want to count 2005. So yeah. So if you want to count 2005, 16 years playing for the San Jose Earthquakes in MLS. That is just crazy. Now let me just tell you guys really quick my personal thoughts on this, because again, as you guys might know by now, I am a Galaxy fan. Just a quick second, I'm gonna drink some water. So yeah, as you guys know, I am a Galaxy fan. And when I first heard of the news of Chris Swanofsky announcing his retirement, I was like, holy cow, it is about dang time. This old grandpa finally decided to go back to the retirement home. Now, I know, San Jose fans who are listening to this, I know you must be hating me right now, calling me, bantering me, whatever. But let me just talk. Just let me talk. Hear me out. As they say now, hear me out. Putting all the banter between LA and San Jose to the side, just putting it out to the side. When I saw the video that got uploaded in Major League Soccer's YouTube channel, the clip of Swanofsky announcing his retirement, there I respected him a little bit. I'm like, okay, you know what? Give him preps. And here's why I'm saying this. Usually when it comes to players announcing their retirement, they usually do it in two ways. One, through a press conference, which usually in a press conference there's 30 to 40 reporters. And even how big the room of the press conference is and how many seats. But just for the sake of the conversation, let's just say that usually there's like between 30 to 40 reporters in a press conference. And players who are going to retire, they say that to them in front of and players who are going to retire, they say that to them in front of like 30, recording them, taking pictures of them, announcing their retirement. And the other way is through social media. They just type it out, text message, they post it through the social media, and the rest of the world just reads it. If you ask me, I prefer the text message, just posting on social media, because cameras like 30 to 40 cameras, that would just give you pressurizing. Did it in front of more than 1,000 people in the entire stadium who was watching him. You cannot say that is easy to do, guys. You cannot say that. That's what made me give him a little bit of respect, because that's not easy to do in front of more than 1,000 people. Like, this is we're talking about bigger than we're talking about bigger than just standing on a stage or in a theater. This is a whole entire stadium, which I assume was full. And this man announced it in front of the entire fans. In fact, he actually even said in the announcement himself that he was thinking of doing a press conference, but he was like, you know what? No, screw it. I might as well just do it here. And you know what? I got to get impressed for that. Like, that's not easy to do, especially when it comes to announcing your retirement. Because obviously there's fans who love you, that want to see you play. And retirement is never an easy thing, because you're saying goodbye to your career. You're saying goodbye to what you've been doing for several years. So you got to give him preps to Chris Winolowski for announcing his retirement on decision day right after the game versus FC Dallas, which they ended up 1-1. So again, preps to Chris Winolowski for announcing his retirement in front of his entire fan base. Not easy to do, but what do you expect from an MLS veteran like him? Now let's check out the accomplishments that Chris Winolowski has done over his entire career. Of course, this stats is from Major League Soccer, so let's dig right in. According to MLS, his career accomplishments include most regular season goals plus playoff goals, most goals for one club, most game-winning goals, which is actually pretty awesome if you ask me. Like, it's not common to score so many game-winning goals in games. So that's a pretty cool accomplishment if you ask me. 2-time MLS Cup champion, 2-time Supporters Shield winner. That's pretty cool. 5-time MLS All-Star, 5 times. That's pretty cool, you have to admit. MLS Most Valuable Player. I'm not sure in what season, but he got an MVP award. And he won the Golden Boot, which is obviously not an easy thing to do as well when it comes to strikers. So yeah, this man is a complete MLS veteran. And without any single doubt, even though I don't like this guy because I'm a Galaxy fan, us Galaxy fans hate Seattle Sounders. I mean, we don't like Seattle Sounders, but we dislike even more the Smurfs. We dislike even more San Jose. So even though I dislike this guy, I dislike San Jose, I will admit that he is an MLS legend. Obviously not as good as Landon Donovan. You can quote me on that. You can do whatever you want. I'm saying that. You can't convince me anything. You can't convince me. Landon Donovan will be our legend. Best MLS player of all time. Best American player of all time. Come on, boys. Come on. But hey, I at least appreciate the fact that I am admitting that Chris Winolowski will be an MLS legend in this league, in the history of this league. And now, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our final topic for today. I just realized I actually have 3 topics, not 4. So I do apologize for that. But our final topic for today, which wasn't exactly as big, but it did stand out to me. It was a pretty interesting thing. So moving on now to our final topic, which is the Chicago Fire announcing that they are going to release 9 players of their, I think they have a 31 man roster. So they're now going to have, I believe, hold on. So they're not, yeah. So now they're going to have a 22-man roster with 11 of them obviously being starting 11. But the Chicago Fire making some moves. And it was actually reported earlier, 4 days ago, from MLS News and Instagram. At MLS News reported, change in Chicago. This is what his post said. Change in Chicago, breaking. Chicago Fire notified 9 players they won't return next season. So these guys literally going to dump 9 players from their 31-man roster, now going to be 22-man roster. The question is, are they going to sign new players? I mean, if they want to do good again, they should. Well, let's just review really quick what players were the ones that they dumped. So, according to MLS, their roster for 2021 will look much different. Highly rated U22 initiative signing John Jeter Duran will arrive this winter. Mid-season acquisition Federico Navarro will have his first full season with the club in key homegrowns. Gabriel Slonina, Brian Gutierrez, Mauricio Pineda, and more will move forward. But these are the players who got their contracts declined as of November 8th, 2021, which actually is today. I mean, well, the day I'm recording this on Monday. So these are the players that they're going to drop. Robert Beric, who was technically the main striker. Francisco Calvo, defensive player. Elliot Collier, midfielder. Kenneth Cronholm, goalkeeper. Alvaro Medran, midfielder. Nick Slonina, which I assume is the brother of Gabriel Slonina. Nick being center back, defender. And finally, which was one of their main players, well-known players, Luka Stojanovic. 7 players, not 9, 7. Well, technically 9, but 7 of them have been denied their a renewal contract. 2 of them were being out of contract, which includes Johan Kabelhoff, defender, and Bobby Shuttleworth, goalkeeper. So they pretty much lost, or technically dumped, because 7 of them got their contracts declined, and 2 of them got they're out of contract. Their contract expired. So within the 9 players, they're losing 3 defenders, 3 midfielders, 2 goalkeepers, and 1 forward. So Johan Kabelhoff is he's a free agent at this point. So is Bobby Shuttleworth. Well, and technically the 7 players. Yeah, the 7 players. Stojanovic, Slonina, Medran, Cronholm, Collier, Calvo, and Beric. All of them don't have a club because Chicago basically denied them. Which brings us to the question, what changes will Chicago Fire do now? Are they going to sign new players? I hope they do. They better if they want to do better, if they want to improve. But they got to do something. This whole rebrand crap that's been going on since 2020, if you ask me, that was all pointless. What's the point of a rebrand if you're just going to suck? The whole point of a rebrand is changing. So you're doing bad, then if you're going to change, then you got to change to doing good. That's the thing. They changed, and they haven't been good. They've been bad. They got eliminated from the playoffs this season. And I'm pretty sure the season in 2020. But let me just check really quick. So in 2020, Chicago, yeah, they got eliminated. They got 11th place right below the playoff line. So that's the question. The main question is, like, what are they going to do? What changes are they going to do? Not just signing players, but tactics, like maybe even a manager. I don't know, something. But yeah, pretty much within that question, what players are they going to sign in the first place? That's a good question. because they got rid of Beric, who was one of their main strikers. They got rid of Stojanovic, who was one of their main midfielders, and Shuttleworth, who was one of their main goalkeepers. So it is up. So as you can see, pretty much as of right now, we're not even 2022 yet, and already we have a club who is already doing changes, which is actually pretty cool, I guess. Like, it's never too early to do any changes for a club. And I can say the same thing with Inter Miami, with Phil Neville, announcing that he is already making changes to Inter Miami for the 2022 season. So yeah, it's never too early to do changes before the new year even begins. Like it makes sense even more now that these teams are eliminated. Like, what are we gonna do? Just sit, do nothing, and just watch the rest of the teams who qualified play while we do nothing? Like, at least we gotta do something. Otherwise, it's gonna be just boredom. Well, of course, I know that the players, like, I assume they get more time, like, with their families and stuff, like more free time. But I'm pretty sure you guys know. I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm saying. But yeah, that is going to be it. Actually, that's pretty much all the topics that I chose for this very first episode. And yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy it. When is the next episode of this series gonna be? Not sure yet. Possibly Friday, this Friday. If not, then on Saturday. Most likely on Saturday. I will try to do a live one, but if I can't, then I'll just do a pre-recorded one, like a pre-recorded video episode. And of course, like I said, I'll give you guys updates, details on Twitter, on my Twitter. Once again, my Twitter is @fullboyguy17. But yes, until then, that will be it. I can't talk today. But yes, until then, that is going to be it for today's show. And yeah, tell me, guys, what you guys think. I really am. I'm actually looking forward to this show. I'm really excited to going back into the podcast world because, like I said, this is not my first rodeo. I've already done podcasts before. They haven't been successful, but I am looking forward to bringing back the book and opening up a new chapter and see how this one does. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have fun. We're gonna have a good time. Again, it's all about talking Major League Soccer. So then, guys, again, that is it for today. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Mainly for listening, not watching, but for listening to today's episode, very first episode of the MLS Madness podcast show. If you guys did enjoy it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and share. If you guys would like to join the MLS Gaming Discord server, which is actually, by the way, the sponsor of this podcast show. This podcast show was presented by the MLS Gaming Discord server. If you would like to join that server, then the link is in the description below for you to join. And of course, my Twitter is @FootballGalaxy17. You can also follow the MLS Gaming Twitter, which is @MLSGaming_. Just that. I'll also put in the description below. And if you would like to join my Discord server, my personal Discord server, then the link is in the description. The link is in the description for that as well. But again, until then, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Subscribe to the channel to get the latest next episode of the MLS Madness podcast show, on possibly next week. And of course, hit the notification bell so you will be the first one to know about the release of the next episode. And of course, again, please like, comment, and share. But until then, MLS Nation, this was Football Galaxy, and have yourselves a great Galaxy night.